Hello Superset Maniacs, welcome back to my channel. So here we are guys at the season finale of the most popular series on the internet, the Kingslayer, where we're trying to find the bodybuilder who can defeat 2003 Mr. Olympia Ronnie Coleman. In this last episode we're doing something different, as you guys probably figured it out already. If in the first 8 episodes we had 8 contenders who tried to slay the king, having the advantage of using any show for each of the 8 mandatory poses depending where they look the best, in this episode we're going to be using 2017 Phil Heath, because this is probably his most impressive package ever aside from the distended gut. But what if Phil had a tight midsection and a vacuum in 2017? Would this version be able to beat 2003 Ronnie Coleman? Let's find out. So let's look at the first pose, the front double biceps. See how much of a difference the midsection can make, guys. Phil is known for having a narrow clavicle bone, this affecting him mostly in the front poses, but a tight midsection can give you an impressive V-taper regardless if you're narrow or not. Just look at Ronnie Coleman, who is wide as a house but has a worse V-taper than Phil here due to his wide midsection. Ronnie Coleman is a powerhouse in this pose, but in these pictures Phil Heath is the winner hands down. Phil has impressive details through the arms, just like Ronnie Coleman. He has some very powerful biceps. They are not as peaky as Ronnie's, but they are longer and bigger. His forearms are superior and he's got great legs also. Phil Heath beats Ronnie Coleman here in my opinion. Next pose is the front lat spread, and this is how Phil looked in 2017 in this pose, but what if he had a tight midsection? Well, he would look something like this, I guess, and again, see how much of a difference the midsection can make? Anyway, bad midsection or not, this is still Phil's weakest pose in my opinion, and I think he still gets defeated by Ronnie in this pose right here. Phil's narrowness is too much of a disadvantage here against such a wide frame like Ronnie's, so Ronnie scores the point and the score is 1-1 right now. Up next is the side chest, and I couldn't edit this pose for you guys because I think Phil is doing a pretty good job in hiding his midsection here, so he does not get affected by it in this pose, especially because Ronnie himself has a similar problem in 2003, so I guess we can ignore the midsection in this pose. They are both powerhouses in this pose. Ronnie has the better chest, but Phil the better arms and shoulders in my opinion. This pose can go either way, but I still prefer Ronnie Coleman, so I'm gonna award him this pose as well. Ronnie has a 2-1 lead right now. And next is the back double biceps. Even though Phil Heath looks incredible here with all that fullness, dryness and details, I believe Ronnie Coleman 2003 in the back double biceps is invincible. Just look at him, guys. Some can argue that Phil's got the better muscle bellies or better this or better that, but at the end of the day, if Ronnie loses at something here, he definitely compensates with overall size, which in bodybuilding does matter. So Ronnie Coleman scores yet another point, making the score 3-1 right now. However, in the other back pose, the back lat spread, I think the tables are turned. In spite of being smaller and narrower, Phil Heath has a unique dryness and fullness at the same time here in 2017. And combined with these notorious details he presents in the back lat spread, I think it's enough to beat anybody in this pose, even big King Ronnie Coleman. I know opinions are divided with this one, but in my opinion, Phil Heath is better in this pose here, so the score becomes 3-2 for Ronnie Coleman. Up next is the side triceps, where Phil Heath is a GOAT, but in 2017 his nasty midsection seemed to be the focal point instead of his incredible triceps. But a vacuum side triceps from Phil Heath would definitely change all that. I mean, his midsection could still be the focal point, but definitely in a good way in this case. I don't think Phil needed a vacuum to beat Ronnie in the side tri, but this definitely would put to rest any argument, right guys? The score is 3-3 right now. Up next is the abs and thighs. This is what the photographers got from Phil's ab and thigh in 2017, but I'm not sure he's fully flexed here. However, he definitely had the worst midsection in his entire career here in 2017, and I believe he would lose this pose against Coleman. But what if Phil had a small midsection and would have hit a vacuum pose? We would be having a completely different story, right guys? Look how impressive Phil's V-taper would be if he had a smaller midsection. This is GOAT material right here. Phil is winning this pose and going into the last pose, the score is 4-3 for him. Last pose is the most muscular, and this is how Phil looked in 2017 in this pose, and in my opinion, as good as Ronnie would look here, I think Phil has a chance to defeat him. But if he had a better midsection, something similar to this, I believe it would be pretty obvious that Phil would be the favorite in this pose. He is definitely beating Ronnie with arms and shoulders in this pose, and here in 2017, his chest was huge as well. His legs were also top notch, so I believe Phil would win this pose and would make the score 5-3 for him, defeating 2003 Mr. Olympia Ronnie Coleman. That's right guys, this may not be the most popular statement, and I know you guys love to hate on Phil Heath, but he is actually the only bodybuilder in history that can hope to defeat Ronnie Coleman in his prime, but only with a perfect midsection. And this brings the argument, what if Ronnie had a perfect midsection? So in conclusion, we can safely assume that Ronnie Coleman in his prime is simply untouchable. I know there are die-hard Dorian Yates fans or newer Big Ramy fans that believe their favorite may be better than Ronnie, but with all due respect, this is just not true. So this brings me to the question, what is next for this series? Well, for now, I can say that this is the end of the Kingslayer Season 1. We'll see if the producers of this wonderful series, me, would decide to release a second season in the future. This was our video for today guys. Don't forget to like this video if you appreciate my work. This helps me get more exposure on YouTube. Also subscribe so you won't miss any of my videos. Thank you guys and see you next time.